Yeah, and just know that we're in charge now. You know, it's no longer our board of supervisors telling us what to do. It's no longer the state. You know, we're the sons of bitches in charge.
You're scared of what's going to happen? Scared if you get this? Stay home. Order out. The rest of the world doesn't need to shut down because of your views. So, and if you want to try to make us think that your views are the only things that matter, fuck around and find out.
And so, because we are in the First Amendment, we want to tie a knot at the end of this and hold on tightly, because otherwise we're going to slide into the Second Amendment, right?
It is our declaration that we are not happy with what our elected officials are doing, and we are going to call them on it, we're going to expose them, and we'll replace them if we have to. So after we faithfully do the First Amendment, then we can resort to the Second Amendment.
Here's the thing.
You guys lie and threaten people too, so not worth addressing.
You know, back in the day, we didn't give people like this a voice. Back in the day, people got run out of town.
So when you go out and you say stupid shit, there's consequences to that. But if you continue to do your job, if you continue to fuck other people, just because it's your responsibility or your duty to fulfill the wishes of your corrupt bosses, fuck you.
So when the ballot box is gone, there is only the cartridge box. You have made bullets expensive, but luckily for you, ropes are reusable. Thank you.
All the while, trying to convince your constituents you're for the people, the game will be up. We will stop asking. So-called threats will eventually become realities. Passive resistance will become active revolution. Discourse will become wholesale disruption, and the ordinary man and woman will become the extraordinary warriors. You are complicit in much more than purple tear tyranny. The destruction of a life of freedom bestowed by God and stolen by you and your unholy comrades will mark your legacy and engrave your epitaphs. The blood of the innocent victims of Shasta County will not easily be scrubbed from your hands.
I almost don't want to see it because I think I want to just drive up there and shoot a motherfucker. You know, you come out to where we live, you know, and you're getting killed.
People think they're so fucking funny. I always get the last laugh.
We would be having this conversation 5 years ago, and the conversation would go something like this. Oh, if they ever made me shut down my business, I would kill them, right? If they made me wear a mask, I would shoot them in the face. You know, I mean, I don't believe in hitting a woman, you know, but somebody like that maybe needs to get beat.
We can have Jesse Lane here and not say that if you are one of these people that chooses to stand against us and chooses to snitch on businesses and go around and try to get people shut down, we will find you. You know, and make your life very uncomfortable. So that's got to be said as well.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right. We have a vaccine for tyrannical government. You don't want us to fucking use it. So step up, man.
That I want to address these people that think that it's a good thing to do to go around ratting your neighbors and your businesses in your local towns off. Don't think we're going to forget who you are, because we're not going to. We know who you are. We see the lists. I don't want you in my community at all. I mean, to me, that's the lowest. You can justify it in your mind all you want to, but if you'll rat somebody off and harm their way of life and the ability they have to make a living over a coronavirus with a 99.8% survival rate, you'll do it over worse things when it really counts too. And we just don't need you in our community. I don't even want you here. So go move off down to San Francisco or somewhere where your kind live, because I don't want you here.
And with that, since we're not pulling any punches, just know that we also are collecting intelligence. We also have people on the streets. We know where you live. We know who your family is. We know your dog's name. So if you think for 1 second that we're going to let you spy on us without us doing our due diligence and spying on you, you're absolutely wrong. So just know that next time you think about calling in because a Palomino room is open and has people in there, and because we're having a good time, or because Dill's Deli is allowing people to sit inside, or whatever business it might be, if you think you're anonymous, you're wrong. Your anonymity ended a long time ago. And we don't talk about everything we do, but just know that we know a lot more than you think. And you are not going to be welcome in this community, like Woody said. We're not going to make you feel very comfortable in our community.
It does not matter how many people may get sick or die. Capitalism and freedom are inextricably linked to each other. We are publicly naming and shaming each and every one of you. We are going to make sure that your actions are permanently linked to your name.
I wonder if all these rats snitching on businesses would be brave enough to be transparent and not anonymous. I wonder if they couldn't be anonymous, if they'd still be snitching.
We have been pushed to a point of violence. You don't vote your way out of socialism. Once it takes root, the only way to eradicate it is to fight with arms, to have a violent confrontation, to have blood in the streets. And I hate to say that, but it's the reality of where we're at. You don't, because by talking, by rallying, by even voting, you fix that mechanism by violent overthrow. You fix it by storming the chambers and forcibly removing those people that are oppressing you. You change things by rallying the troops to take up arms, to learn how to use their guns, by stocking food, by making bases, making compounds, and getting ready to fight. And listen, we're prepared to do that. I've had so many people reach out to me and tell me, hey, look, I went out and bought a gun. I went out and learned how to use a gun. I took some classes. I'm practicing every day on how to shoot this gun. We avoid the war by becoming normal right now. We got to take off our masks right now. We need to go outside and live our lives like this never happened, because it is a hoax. That's how you deal with hoaxes. You ignore them. You don't abide by them. You don't comply. You don't wait for things to change. You walk outside your house every morning and you live your damn life. This is the Wild West out here. We're a big country, but out here in the West, we still have that fight pioneer spirit, and there's people who are just fed up right now. We've had enough. They know it's a hoax, and they're not only offended and affronted, but they're ready to act, and now they want revenge. We want our time back, right? It's like the guy who prison for 20 years and then gets out. I'm going to want some revenge. A dog doesn't have teeth. All it has is a bark, and before you know it, nobody's going to listen to that dog. And our teeth is our ability to pick up our arms and fight, and I'm not a violent, well, I shouldn't say that. I am a violent individual. And when good men are willing to do bad things, great things will happen, and it's going to be ugly for a little bit. It's chaotic. Well, their mechanism to enforce their agenda is instability. They're going to try to topple and destabilize our society every single day. So it's up to us to gain that stability back. And the only way you fight that is with violence, Alex. I hate to say that, but there's going to come a time. I mean, look at these clowns in the streets. Let's call them what they are. They're savages. They're animals. And they better be thankful. Like I said in my speech, be thankful that we are good and thoughtful citizens, but we're not going to be that much longer. And we're way past the boiling point. I mean, this is way over. At this point, Alex, my business is open. If they were to shut me down right now, I would put up the call, and there'd be hopefully 100,000 people there with guns ready to fight them, and I don't think they want that fight at this point.
I told you I always get the last laugh. Wake the fuck up, open your restaurants, get back to normal now. COVID's over, if it ever was a thing. Take off your masks and declare some kind of victory over your own fucking life.
What if we all got guns and we went to the Capitol and we said, hey, you're not doing that. There's more of us. There's more arms in the hands of American citizens than there is in the top 7 militaries of the world, okay? More arms. There's 6 million registered hunters, like avid hunters in this country. That's an arm. That's bigger than the Army, okay? You're gonna tell me that those people aren't gonna fight? You're gonna tell me that those people can't take over a state capitol somewhere and put a gun to somebody's head and say, no, you're not doing that. We're not allowing you to do that. This is our country, Well, you can wait 2 years, 4 years and vote. No, that's not it. I didn't vote for you to do whatever you want. I voted for you to represent me and for me to keep you accountable. And so if we sit here and we say, hey, this is what we want you to do, and you don't do it, we ask you when we vote, and we ask you when we vote, we ask you when we vote, and you're still not doing what we want, and you are not only are you not doing what we want, right? Because that's petty, right? Well, they're not passing those bills that I want. I'm gonna go shoot them. No, that's not what I'm saying. When they are trampling on the Constitution, when they are taking away our constitutional rights and going against the Constitution that they also raised a hand to defend, then that's when we have to come in and say, look, we got to pull our teeth out now, and bite.
We're giving them the keys to the front door and then ask them not to come in. It's time to take it back, and we can do that through legislation.
But these mechanisms are broken. These mechanisms,
let's fix them.
I mean, that's easier said than done, I think, And listen, I'm not hopeless here. I'm not saying we're already here. We know that our only option now is just to go march on with guns. That's not what I'm saying. But we're very close to that, And unless we figure out how to fix that mechanism, that gives us those rights, then I don't know. It's going to be a really, really gnarly road ahead.
Why can't we have 200 people standing in front of his place for backup and let them know
I know that Carlos Zapata has made that offer on Facebook. So, Eddie, if you want to take advantage of that.
I'm sorry.
I do know, no, that's fine. Brenda was just saying, that there has been an offer that if there are, that if you think there could be something problematic, I know publicly Carlos Zapata has shared that he would be willing to come and help out. Yeah. So if you need some help, I know that he has made a public offer. Yes. So I would maybe reach out to him.
Just so you know, if you see Carlos and I with our masks on, we're there to do bad things to you. So just know that.
Militia, it really is the kinetic force. When our words end, we need a kinetic force, and the militia becomes that. It becomes the actual man, woman, and hopefully not child who's armed and ready to restore, what's rightfully ours.
But if there was 10 million Californians that were in the militia, you think the government would have a different way of doing things? If half of California was a militia, and when they got out of line, we started rolling to Sacramento to have a little talk with them, they would think very carefully before they made decisions. So that's really what it's about.
If you are a business owner and you are being harassed, you're being threatened by any agency, you're going to call the phone number that we posted earlier. The California militia will be at your place of business. If they come there, we will be there to meet them. The governor is now at this point putting his own agents that work for him and in the worst and most dangerous of situations, where they are pitting them against good patriots that are willing to fight for their rights and die for their rights. And I hope that they galvanize with us and not against us, because, again, we are on the right side of history, and we will support them. We will support law enforcement. We back the blue. Trust me that we do, okay? But not before the Constitution. We're in charge now, It's no longer our Board of Supervisors telling us what to do. It's no longer the state, We're the sons of bitches in charge. We're in charge of our own lives. You guys are. You guys are in charge of your own life. And that's a beautiful thing about being an American, is that, we don't answer to anybody except ourselves and God. We will not be threatened any longer. We will not pay your fines. We will get arrested if we have to. But just know that we have the power and the force of good American citizens and of the militia. And a message to these agents that are coming, because I myself personally have been harassed. My family's been harassed. We've had the FBI come to my house. I guarantee you we're being watched and listened to. And listen, we are not here to pick a fight. You have picked a fight with us. We are not here to start a war. You have started it. Okay, and at this point, we'll no longer sit on our hands and watch our children watch their parents cower to a government that doesn't give a crap about us. They have to know that they are the unlawful ones. They're the ones who should be keeping the peace, and instead, they are inciting a war. What I'm telling you in this story is how you should deal with agencies when they come in and harass you. I said, look, I've never hidden who I am. You're obviously here because you saw some social media post or because somebody snitched and said, oh, that guy's a domestic terrorist. Know that you don't work for them. They have no authority over you. Okay, so don't be scared. Don't be fearful. But it's none of their business. They're on my property. When did this happen where we allowed good citizens, good hardworking citizens who've served their country, to be harassed in their home, in front of their children? It's embarrassing. I hate to be embarrassed. But for this, somebody has to pay. I'm sorry. You don't get to do that without paying for it. You don't get to come to my house and harass me without there being some kind of a penalty. And the penalty doesn't come in the form of us finding you and fighting you. The penalty comes in the form of us standing up and defying what you're asking us to do. And then at that point of defiance, if they come and they want to continue to harass us, then, we take it to the next level. We escalate it as we need to. For me, the line is, I open my business, the government comes to try to shut me down. At that point, I make the call to some tough, really good friends, and they show up, and then we leave it up to them how they want that to go down. Do they want to have that kind of spectacle? Sure. Showing up ready to fight. I show up ready to fight. Ready to protect ourselves. Militia, it really is the kinetic force. When our words end, we need a kinetic force, and the militia becomes that. It becomes the actual man, woman, and hopefully not child who's armed and ready to restore, what's rightfully ours. So if you want to make criminals out of us good people for running our businesses, then so be it. Then we will act criminally.
And some of us are even ready to do violence on their behalf.
Yeah. So what we have here is a failed mother.
Dan Scoville here, and Woody Clendenin, and Carlos, tremendous leaders of the community and leaders of the militia. So we came up with this notice. These premises are protected from undue and unlawful intrusion by government agents and agencies. These rights and premises are protected by the California State Militia. Be advised that harassment and interference of the lawful activities of this business by any government agent or agency may be met with resistance.
It's back up, Mr. Cruz. Come and get me. You come and get me, you coward. If we go into court for that civil violation, Mr. Cruz, discovery will expose your fraud and your harassment of citizen journalism. Investigative journalism is dead in this county. That's why citizen journalist Shasta County was born. We know the answers to the questions before we ask them. You better stop and cease and desist your harassment. You're exposing this county to a lot of liability. Yourself to criminal liability. 18 U.S. Code 242. Deprivation of rights under color of law. Meaning freedom of the press. I'm done for now. I'll be back.
I've been in combat, and I never want to go back again. But I'm telling you what, I will to save this country. If it has to be against our own citizens, it will happen.
I am arresting you, ma'am, in Penal Code 837. There is no 3-minute mark. You are under arrest.
You're willing to fuck somebody else in order to keep your job. You are a giant piece of shit, and you're exactly what's wrong with America today.
Sure hope nobody offs this kid, because they're going to come looking for me.
In front of me. I did this motion with the glass, I knew where that glass was going, right? I mean, shoot, get away from me, right? Hey, get the hell away from me. You stand in front of me. Things that you've said on social media and whatnot, you know how I feel about that. I don't like it. If he's working right now in this town, it's only for a little bit, until we find out where he works and they fire him. That's not the kind of person we want in this community. You're not going to be in this community much longer. So,
Concealed carry permit, which is what, John? Permission from the sheriff for your Second Amendment right. Bullshit. You don't have permission for your rights. The government doesn't have a right to give you permission for something you have a right from God to protect yourself and your family. This kind of tyranny in our own county has got to stop. And this is, and we have a sheriff that says, "Oh, I'm a constitutional sheriff." Bullshit. I don't know about you, but I have had it, especially with these candy-ass sheriffs that won't do anything other than try to go along to get along.
These broadcasts contain false and defamatory statements concerning Mr. Modi, for which he demands that you issue a correction as detailed below. Fuck you, Leonard Modi. Fuck you, shove it up your ass.
As these mandates come down, which they're coming, and now there'll be laws and not just mandates with these ABs coming. I'm just here to tell you right now that we will not, in our local area, allow OSHA or the California Department of Justice or any other agency to come here and bully our businesses.
You're not doing it to me. You might do it to some other weak motherfucker, but you're not going to do it to me. And right now they're going to say, "Oh, look, they're being violent, they're threatening." No, bullshit. I'm not threatening a motherfucking thing.
You know, all we want is to be left alone. And if you're not going to be a protector, if you're not going to, you know, hold that sacred cloak over us that says that these people are untouchable, you know, by tyrants. Tyrants will not govern over these people. Then you are an enemy of freedom, an enemy of the Constitution, and you're an enemy of this country. Being labeled as violent, aggressive, insurrectionist terrorists, you know, simply because we stand up for ourselves. We're not going around beating people up.
If you think that we're going to give in because you lied about us, our families, our children, you're wrong.
Slander. That's right.
This is Allen County, Bonnie.
But see,
we're fighting to take it back from people like you.
How do you even get through life without ever tasting your own blood? How do you use violence or the threat of violence for good? I think violence is a tool, you know, and it's a good tool, but violence without morality is bad. Violence with morality, there is righteous violence, right? I mean,
that this is not the political climate to begin talking about restricting people's First Amendment rights. Do not move forward with a decorum policy for these citizens today.
Another government full of officials who claim, just like you claim, to be following orders, illegal orders. During the Nuremberg trials, it was established quite clearly that just following orders is not a valid excuse. Shasta County Board of Supervisors swore an oath to the Constitution. You claim to be doing all these things in the name of public safety, in the name of security. The Nazis also claimed to be doing it in the name of security. And there was an outcome to the Nuremberg trials. And that outcome was that the people simply following orders were punished. And the punishment was death.
Because my response is maybe a little bit more aggressive, more violent in nature, you know, more threatening in nature, just because, you know, it's my personality. I don't know, you know, then you're the bully. Who are these fucking people? You know, I don't want to live in the same town. They need to go fucking move somewhere else. You know, people that live in this town live here because we have a certain shared value system. If you can't get along with that, go to Seattle, go to these cities that are going to embrace you. You know, you don't belong here. People used to get the fuck run out of town, and that doesn't happen anymore because everybody wants to be politically correct. Nobody wants to offend anybody. I say, you know what? That time has to be over. If we want our kids to see a brighter day, a brighter future, a better place here in Shasta County, we need to get rid of these people. Point.
And what happened to the movies in the 50s where the guy would get pissed off and he'd smack everything off the table? Yeah. You know this
sure.
Well. Slam your hand on the table and say something to someone and get your point across. Now that's turned into like you're trying to threaten someone. It's like, no, quit with this threat shit. Quit with your narrative. With
if
your
you
agenda.
Never said anything about me, there'd be no confrontation.